Welcome to Knowledge Nuggets, your go-to channel for fascinating stories and historical insights. I bet you didn't know that someone fought a war for almost 30 years after it ended. Picture this: the world has moved on, nations have rebuilt, and yet you are still in the thick of it, battling an enemy that no longer exists. Not just imagining it, but actually living it day in and day out. Every single day, waking up with the same mission, the same orders, the same sense of duty, unaware that the world around you has changed dramatically. That's exactly what happened to Hiroo Onoda, a Japanese soldier stationed in the Philippines during World War II. He was a man of unwavering loyalty and dedication, following his orders to the letter, no matter the cost. Except the war ended in 1945. The world celebrated peace, nations began to heal, and soldiers returned home. But for Onoda, the war was far from over. He was deep in the jungle, cut off from the rest of the world with no way of knowing that the conflict had ended. He didn't surrender until 1974. That's nearly 3 decades of living in isolation, surviving on whatever he could find, and constantly being on alert for an enemy that had long since vanished. Yep, you heard that right, 29 years later. Imagine the shock and disbelief when he finally emerged from the jungle, only to find out that the world had moved on without him. His story is a testament to the power of belief and the human spirit's resilience. Let's just say, the man was committed. His dedication to his mission, despite the overwhelming odds and the passage of time, is both awe-inspiring and tragic. Onoda's story is a poignant reminder of the cost of war and the lengths to which individuals will go to fulfill their duty. After his surrender, Onoda returned to Japan, where he was hailed as a hero by some and a relic of a bygone era by others. He struggled to adjust to the modern world, a world that had changed so much during his years in the jungle. His story raises important questions about duty, loyalty, and the human cost of war. Onoda later wrote a memoir titled No Surrender: My 30-Year War, where he detailed his experiences and the incredible journey he endured. His book offers a unique perspective on the war and the personal sacrifices made by those who serve. Today, Hiroo Onoda's story serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring impact of war on individuals and the importance of understanding history. His legacy is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the complexities of duty and honor. As we reflect on Onoda's incredible story, we are reminded of the countless untold stories of soldiers and civilians who have been affected by war. Their experiences shape our understanding of history and the world we live in today. In the end, Hiroo Onoda's tale is not just about a soldier who fought for 30 years, but about the enduring human spirit and the quest for peace. It is a story that transcends time and place, reminding us of the importance of compassion, understanding, and the pursuit of a better world. Hiroo Onoda wasn't some gung-ho, war-hungry soldier. He was a young man, just 22 years old, full of dreams when he was sent to Lubang Island in the Philippines. His mission? To wage guerrilla warfare against the Allied forces. Problem was, nobody told him when to stop fighting. Imagine being stuck in a jungle. You're surrounded by danger. The dense foliage is both a shield and a trap, concealing threats at every turn. The air is thick with humidity, making every breath a laborious task. The sounds of the jungle are a constant reminder of the life teeming around you, yet you feel utterly alone. You're constantly on edge, listening for enemy footsteps. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig could mean the difference between life and death. The tension is palpable, your senses heightened to a razor's edge. You move cautiously, every step calculated, every decision weighed against the potential for disaster. Now imagine doing that for years, believing the war is still raging on. The world outside has moved on, but for you, time has stood still. The war is your reality, your purpose, your reason for enduring the unendurable. The isolation is profound, the loneliness a constant companion. Yet, you hold on, driven by a sense of duty and an unyielding belief in your mission. That was Onoda's reality. Cut off from the outside world, he survived on his wits, his training, and a whole lot of hope. His days were a relentless struggle for survival. His nights filled with dreams of a world he could barely remember. He hunted for food, built shelters, and evaded capture, all while clinging to the belief that his efforts were not in vain. Hope that one day he would receive new orders that would bring an end to his solitary vigil, that would validate his years of sacrifice. He imagined the moment over and over, the relief, the joy, the overwhelming sense of fulfillment. It was this hope that kept him going, that gave him the strength to face each new day. Hope that he could finally go home. Home to a life he had left behind, to family and friends who had long since given him up for dead. The thought of reunion, of stepping back into a world of peace and normalcy, was a beacon in the darkness. It was a dream he nurtured, a vision that sustained him through the darkest of times. Onoda's story is a testament to the power of hope, the resilience of the human spirit, and the enduring strength of belief. Onoda wasn't living in a five-star hotel, let me tell you. The jungle was his home, his supermarket, his everything. He hunted wild animals for food, using the skills he learned in the army. He slept under the open sky, always alert for signs of the enemy. Every rustle of leaves, every snapping twig could mean danger. Talk about stressful. Section 5. Encounters in the wilderness, friend or foe. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, didn't he ever run into anyone else? He did. In fact, Onoda's time in the wilderness was marked by numerous encounters with both locals and other individuals who had also taken refuge in the dense forests. These encounters were often fraught with tension and suspicion. Onoda encountered locals, even other Japanese soldiers who had also gone into hiding. The locals were often just going about their daily lives, unaware of the war that Onoda believed was still raging on. They were farmers, fishermen, and villagers who had adapted to the harsh conditions of the jungle. But remember, he believed the war was still going on. This belief was so deeply ingrained in him that it colored every interaction he had. He was constantly on high alert, interpreting every sound and movement as a potential threat. The dense jungle, with its myriad of sounds and shadows, only heightened his sense of paranoia. He thought these people were trying to trick him, to capture him. Every encounter was a test of his resolve and his training. He had been taught to trust no one, to believe that the enemy could be anywhere, even among his own people. This mindset made it nearly impossible for him to distinguish friend from foe. So he kept his distance, his guard always up. Onoda's survival depended on his ability to remain unseen and unheard. He moved through the jungle like a ghost, leaving no trace of his presence. His encounters with others were brief and often ended in a hasty retreat. The fear of capture was ever present, driving him deeper into isolation. The jungle became both his sanctuary and his prison. It provided him with the cover he needed to evade capture, but it also isolated him from the world. The longer he stayed hidden, the more detached he became from reality. The line between friend and foe blurred, leaving him in a constant state of vigilance. Onoda built makeshift shelters, scavenged for food, and relied on his training to survive. His encounters with others were rare, but each one reinforced his belief that the war was still ongoing. He saw every person he met as a potential enemy, a threat to his mission. This mindset kept him alive, but it also kept him trapped in a war that had long since ended. The jungle was a place of constant danger and uncertainty. Onoda's encounters with others were a reminder of the world he had left behind, a world that had moved on without him. Yet, he remained steadfast in his belief, driven by a sense of duty and loyalty to his country. The question of friend or foe was one he grappled with every day, never knowing who he could trust. Section 6. A Voice from the Past, The Truth Revealed. Fast forward to 1974. A young Japanese man, Norio Suzuki, travels to Lubang Island. He's on a mission to find Onoda, to tell him the war is over.
Suzuki eventually finds Onoda and tells him the unbelievable truth. The war has been over for almost 30 years.
Section 7. Coming home, a hero's welcome. Imagine hearing that news. The war you've been fighting, the reason you've endured so much pain and isolation is over. It's finally over. Onoda was overwhelmed with emotion. He was finally free. He surrendered to the Philippine authorities, his sword still in its scabbard. He returned to Japan a hero, welcomed by a nation that had long given him up for dead. 30 years later, adjusting to a new world. Coming back to a world he barely recognized wasn't easy. Japan had changed drastically since the 1940s. Technology had advanced. The culture had shifted. It was a lot to take in. But Onoda, ever the survivor, adapted to his new life, eventually finding peace and purpose. Onoda's legacy, honor, duty, and resilience. Hiroo Onoda's story is one of extraordinary resilience, unwavering dedication, and the enduring power of belief. It makes you think, doesn't it? What would you have done in his shoes? It's a story that continues to fascinate and inspire. reminding us of the human capacity for both extraordinary endurance and the importance of truth and reconciliation. What if it were you? The weight of belief. Think about it. Could you hold on to a belief for so long, even in the face of overwhelming evidence to the contrary? Onoda's story highlights the power of our beliefs and how they shape our reality, even when that reality might be far from the truth.
Join the conversation. Share your thoughts. What do you think? Could you have done what Onoda did? Share your thoughts, your questions, your insights. Let's keep this conversation going.